Well, happy Monday, everybody. This is Toby Brand with Fuel Your Faith, and I am doing podcast number 10 on excuses. And this is a pretty interesting topic. I've been wanting to do a podcast on excuses for a while because, excuse me, I really think that this is a big thing that holds us back and causes us to really grow into who we're really meant to be. It prevents us from getting healthier. It prevents us from taking action on what we're called to do. It causes us to stay really in an unfulfilled, frustrating, limiting, playing small place where we're not supposed to be, where we don't deserve to be. So with that being said, excuses, I love that quote, excuses are for people who don't want it bad enough. And I want to take that a little further. Excuses are for people who that don't desire it enough. They're not in a place yet where they're just not ready. They're not uncomfortable enough. I think sometimes we have to get really uncomfortable and really, experience some pain to acknowledge and become aware of our excuses that are holding us back. And it doesn't have to be that way. So it just doesn't have to be that way. So with that being said, I'm going to go on with my notes and share about what I have to say about excuses, because I'll tell you what, we really got to overcome this epidemic of excuses that is causing a lot of us to play small and hold us back. So do you ever catch yourself making excuses when things don't turn out as you expected? I've personally done that in the past. Have you ever neglected, taking responsibility for events and circumstances in your life? Or have you ever tried to explain away, over-explain why you didn't, why you couldn't, why you shouldn't, or just simply why you didn't do something? As a coach, and I have done that too in the past, but now, as I'm becoming aware of this more and more, and even personally, I have overcome so many excuses in my life. Now I'm seeing it in so many people, and there's nothing to be ashamed about. It's just about getting aware and acknowledging it and eliminating them and understand why you're doing it. And that's the key. It's very empowering and liberating. So these are all, if you do that, these are all signs. These are all little subtle signs that indicate you are living a life of excuses, which prevent you from living your full potential. I have been there. And it's not a fun place. It really isn't. And like I said, there's nothing to be ashamed of. If you really desire something bad enough, then, be willing and be courageous and be bold enough, be brave enough to look at your excuses. So, what are excuses? They're rationalizations that we make to ourselves about people, about events, about circumstances. They are invented reasons we create to defend our behavior, and we've all done it. And it's behavior that we do to neglect taking some particular action, or simply as a means of, avoiding or negating responsibility. Excuses are just, it's an essence of placing blame of an internal problem on an external condition. And, we've all done that. We've all done it. And so some of the reasons we make excuses, there's so many reasons why people make excuses, right? In fact, like, everyone has different reasons for making them. However, when it boils down to it, we only make excuses for some of the following main reasons. Now, there are legitimate reasons why people can't do things. Seriously, there really are. Things happen. Life happens. I've been there. And, but there also comes a time when we got to look at some of these things that we use as reasons to develop excuses, like fear of failure. People don't understand the wisdom behind failure. It's a part of what is going to happen. Sometime we're going to fail. We keep going. Fear of embarrassment, fear of success, fear of change, fear of uncertainty, fear of responsibility, fear of making mistakes. And then, another one is perceived lack of confidence or resources. If you can really learn to leverage these fears and learn that the fear of failure is there to teach you something, that the fear of embarrassment's there to teach you something, that the perceived lack of confidence or resources are there to teach you something, that it's not real. It's really, a lot of these fears are an illusion. If you can look at everything as everything is an illusion, and I have to remind myself of that still to this day, because, I'm constantly getting out of my comfort zone. But to eliminate these excuses from our lives, we must first look at eliminating all these traces of fear. Fear, fear. I used to live in fear. Goodness gracious. And some of it's like we're not even aware. It's so tricky how it can trick us to not just even being unconscious of it. So, fear really traps us and locks us away. It keeps us in our comfort zone. And yet fear often develops as this result, I believe, of a lack of understanding, information, resources. Total lack of understanding. What you don't know, right? And a lack of, like I said, information, a lack of resources, experience, and perspective. And if you lack all these things, you will fail to take action necessary to achieve any of your goals, whether it's health, relationships, starting a new business, starting anything new. So to achieve any of these, to achieve a goal or an objective, you're really going to have to take a look at those fears. So, consequently, you're going to tend to make excuses about life and circumstances in order to help boost your self-esteem. It happens. I see people do it all the time to make excuses to boost their self-esteem. However, all you're doing when you do that, when you create an excuse to boost your self-esteem, an excuse, all you're doing is creating the illusion of security. You're simply masking the pain. And it's like taking a painkiller for the pain. It's still going to be there. It will still continue to persist, to be there until you overcome your fears. And fears are so amazing because once you start really just acknowledging them and you start admitting them and being aware of them and moving into them, it fades away. It's a beautiful process. Consequences. Another thing is the consequences. Oh my God, the consequences of making excuses. Living a life of excuses can have very serious and lasting consequences. Not only will excuses prevent you from reaching your potential, but guys, they will also hold you back from recognizing opportunities. They will, oh gosh, so many beautiful blessings and opportunities out there every day when we wake up. It's gonna if you keep making excuses, it's gonna hold you back from recognizing your own talents and your own skills. And I mean, to really help you overcome these, excuses. I mean, if you don't challenge yourself to reach new heights, you will never really know what you're capable of. You'll never know what new opportunities lie around you. I mean, new opportunities, amazing opportunities lie hidden around every corner. However, they're not going to be in your comfort zone. That's why you have to get out of your comfort zone. And you will never find them. I mean, you're never going to find them if you're riddled in your mind with constantly finding reasons to make excuses. I mean, making excuses also, they can lead to the following consequences, okay? Here's what I believe to be true. And there's probably a lot more to this, but making excuses can also lead to these consequences. Now listen to me. The consequence of making excuses can really, really hold you back from growing. Not only that, it will create a lack of responsibility that will keep you from growing, and will keep you growing from further taking responsibility. Because I believe we have to take 100% full responsibility for everything in our life. That's another side effect. I wouldn't say side effect, but a symptom of an excuse maker is they don't take responsibility. Another consequence of making excuses, it just creates so many self-limiting beliefs. And the longer you do it, the harder it's going to become. It's going to overcome it. I mean, you can overcome it, but it's going to take a lot more work. And then excuses. Another consequence is regrets. And another consequence is persistent pessimism, being pessimistic, having a pessimistic outlook on life. Excuses really cause you to make bad judgments. They make you paranoid. They create these imaginary walls, in your mind. They create mental blocks, and they really, oh my gosh, they really block you and stifle your creativity. They really do when you make excuses. I mean, that has happened to me. The consequences certainly, lead these consequences that I just mentioned. They certainly don't lead to a fulfilling lifestyle. In fact, they will paralyze us. They will paralyze you very destructively and prevent you from moving forward in all areas of your life. To overcome your excuses, you just got to admit it. There's nothing, don't be ashamed. There's no judgment here. There's no, just admit it. It is so liberating. So to really overcome those excuses, like I said, just admit that you were making them in the first place. Sometimes this is difficult. It really is. It's really uncomfortable. And whatever feelings you get or emotions when you do this, just honor it. Just honor it and start moving forward. Sometimes this is, like I said, really difficult to do. However, it's absolutely necessary and critical if you want to eliminate the consequences